So I know a lot of people are going to automatically click on this video and assume that I'm hating on Xbox once again and I am going to trash Xbox for no reason, but I would argue that if you look at the videos where I've talked about Xbox within the past month or two, anytime I've been rough on them, I think it's pretty justifiable. A lot of people have been out here calling me a fraud, calling me a liar, saying that I'm just doing this for views and for clicks, and that I've become a full Sony pony, whatever. I think it's just easier for these people to believe those things than to actually take a second and think, well, this guy has been playing on nothing but Xbox for 2 years straight. He's been doing nothing but making videos about Xbox for 2 years straight. He's been nothing but disappointed with Xbox games for 2 years straight. And now that I'm on a different platform, experiencing literally some of the best gaming experiences I've ever had in my life, that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the fact that I'm getting even more support doing that just makes me feel that much better. So it's easier for people to believe that I'm just some kind of sellout or whatever, and that I'm a liar and I'm not really playing my PS4. It doesn't matter to me. People can think what they want. The only reason I'm saying this in the beginning here is just because I'm trying to get some people to understand that I'm not a full-blown Sony pony. I've just been making so much PlayStation content recently because, first of all, I've been just very engrossed in it and excited and embracing it in a way that I really haven't in a very, very, very long time since I was, very young. And it feels good, and I'm realizing that there's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot in terms of games to talk about, and it feels really, really good to actually be able to talk about games like I have been, to talk about Bloodborne, to talk about Death Stranding, to talk about Days Gone, The Last of Us, and all this stuff. It feels really good. When I was covering Xbox, I wasn't really talking about games that much because there weren't really that many games to talk about, and frankly, most of the time when I was talking about games, I was pretty disappointed in them. So I'm just letting you guys know that I'm going to continue to make Xbox content. I don't know how many times I have to say this for people to understand it, but I'm only going to do it when there's topics and there's things that, in my opinion, are worth talking about. I'm not out here making a video about a discless Xbox One S console because I do not care at all, even remotely. That's not for me. That's not something I'm interested in. My thoughts on it are very minimal. My thoughts on it are, it just seems pretty unnecessary, but clearly something Microsoft wants to do and pursue, and that's a direction they want to push in. I don't think there's any surprise in that. That's not a direction that I want to go in. I don't want a digital-only future, so therefore I do not care about the console, nor will I support the console, and I don't have enough to say about it to justify making a video. The only other news I've seen is about Halo Infinite, and the Master Chief Collection apparently going to PC, but Halo Infinite showing up at E3, not surprising, and then that it was confirmed it's also going to release on the Xbox One, again, also not surprising. So as you can see from where I'm sitting, there just hasn't been a whole lot to talk about, so instead I'm choosing to talk about games. I'm choosing to try to come up with more original topics as to why I've been more excited about PlayStation, why I'm looking forward to the future of PlayStation games, stuff like that. I've seen so many people say to me, like, don't worry, MBG, you'll be back when they show the games. Yeah, you're right. I will be. I care about games at this point, man. Like, that's all I want. The only relevance Xbox has to me at this point is when they're ready to show off some awesome games, when they have some amazing games to ready to go and show me, I will be there talking about them. So that's just how it is. But today, I wanted to take time, and I apologize for taking this long to get to this point. I'm sorry for that rant. But today I really want to talk about why Xbox is really going to need a lot more than just multiple console SKUs to stand a chance against the PlayStation 5 next generation. And I genuinely believe that. I'm not just saying that to fuel the console war. This is actually genuinely my opinion and how I feel. I think what Microsoft is doing is smart, okay? I don't think it's a bad thing per se, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there's the rumor that as of right now, Microsoft's plans are to have two console SKUs at launch, pretty much like the equivalent of the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X that we have right now, but with next-gen versions. They're codenamed Lockhart and Anaconda. The Lockhart console is basically going to be the next-gen Xbox One S base model, and it's actually going to, believe it or not, be less powerful than the Xbox One X currently. It's going to be mostly a native 1080p 60 FPS machine that can maybe sometimes do like 1440p or something like that, like 2K resolution. And that is rumored to be around $300 within that price point. The other console is the Anaconda, which is going to be like a 12 teraflop machine, basically double what the Xbox One X is, and it's clearly going to be striving for 4K 60 across the board, as close as it can get to it. It's going to be a very powerful console, an absolute beast, and I'm pretty confident that Microsoft will be able to deliver with that, because the Xbox One X is a fantastic console. So I think that Anaconda is just going to be the next evolution of that. But I've seen a lot of people talking about how this alone is what's going to make Xbox quote win next generation. And the reason why I even have this conversation is because I care about console gaming. So to me, I do care how consoles perform. I want Xbox to do well. I want to see PlayStation continue to do well, because I just want to see the console thrive. It's my favorite way to game. It's not because I'm necessarily attached to a plastic box, but you have to understand what that plastic box represents. That plastic box represents the continuation of ownership through physical media. That's why I don't care about a discless console. That's why I'll never buy a discless console unless I'm forced to do so. And so for me, that's why I care about this stuff. I don't want to see the console fade away. I don't want to see it die. I don't want to see it go away. And I think there's a lot of other people who feel that same way. So when we think about the idea of Microsoft being able to take on or possibly win against the PlayStation 5, the rumors with the PS5 is that there's a single SKU. It's going to be about $400, and it's going to be around 10 teraflops. Now, here's the thing. Talking about the higher-end consoles for a second here, the PS5 will clearly be much closer to what the Xbox Anaconda is, and the Xbox Anaconda is supposedly going to be around $500. So a $100 difference right off the bat. More people, because of that, are just going to choose the PS5. But we have to understand that I think when you're talking about, now it could be wrong here, but it seems like the law of diminishing returns might play into this a little bit, where when you're talking about a difference between 10 and 12 teraflops, at least from where I'm sitting, I don't really see how there's going to be that huge of a difference. I'm genuinely saying that, because if you can get most games to run at 4K 60 on the PS5, what will be the difference of what you can expect on the Anaconda? Maybe you won't be able to run most games at 4K 60 on the PS5. Maybe it'll be slightly below 4K at 60, and then maybe with the Xbox One X, it'll be more of a native 4K 60, similar to what we see now with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, but not nearly as severe of a gap. There are some times with the PS4 Pro where there is a larger gap with games, where it's pretty much like a game running at native 2K on the PS4 and a game running at native 4K on the Xbox One X. I don't think we're going to see that. But, the idea of this cheaper console, while I do think it is a very smart move of Microsoft, and I think there will definitely be a market for it, I just think that people who are out here talking about Microsoft winning next gen and having some kind of comeback or anything like that don't really understand that they're going to have to show a lot more than just hardware. And that's obvious. Like, I'm not saying these people who are saying this don't understand that. We've seen and we've heard the talk about the new studios, but what it really comes down to is Microsoft is going to have to make a huge impact when it comes to their game development and the games that they release. And the only way they're going to do that, frankly, is by releasing very, very good games, because Sony is not out here just releasing okay games. Like, they're just not releasing like pretty good games. No, they're releasing Game of the Year caliber games, okay? Like, 2 of their games in 2018, in fact, I think the only 2 first-party games, even though Insomniac isn't first-party, games that they released in 2018 were both up and nominated for Game of the Year, and one of them won. So what I'm trying to say here is that it doesn't matter really that much. I know there's going to be people who tell me about MBG, most people play third-party games, not many people buy exclusives. That's not true. I will explain to you right now, and I wish I would have said this earlier because this is probably the most important part. It's called the trickle effect, okay? What the trickle effect is, basically, people who say that not many people buy exclusive games, so because of that, you would think the majority of people are going to just look at the cheapest console, which could be the base model Xbox 2 or whatever you want to call it. That's $300. And while you may think that's true, you have to remember the trickle effect. The people who are there day one buying next-gen consoles, regardless of price, are the hardcore gamers, the people who really care the most, the people who probably do care about exclusive games. That's not to say there aren't people who don't care about this stuff and are there day one, because there are, but I would say the majority of these people are what we would call the hardcore fans, people like me and you, people who actually really care and are very, very excited for the next PlayStation and the next Xbox, okay? And what happens is, we're the ones who really end up deciding for our friends. Not ultimately, but, think about it. I'm sure there are people with large groups of friends who all game together, and one or two of them are maybe considered the hardcore ones, while the other friends are maybe considered the more casual ones. And the casual ones are the ones who are easily influenced by the hardcore ones because they're not as into it as we are. So if people are compelled day one to pick up a PS5 because they know that they're going to be getting games like God of War 2, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Spider-Man 2, and other games as well, possibly eventually a Bloodborne 2, who knows, the hardcore gamers are probably going to go to that because they know that they've been getting phenomenal gaming experiences through Sony, not through Microsoft. And Microsoft has really kind of, not to mention, and this is a really important part too, Microsoft has really kind of eliminated the need to buy a console. So that automatically is going to make somebody think, if you're standing in a store deciding between the PS5 and the next Xbox, you're going to look at the PS5 and be like, well, if I want access to some of these amazing games, I literally can only access it through this piece of hardware that I'm looking at. Whereas when you look at the Xbox, while it is still a console, yes, and it's meant to be hooked up in the living room, you can still access those games, Microsoft's exclusive games or first-party games, whatever you want to call them, through PC or through other means. And come next gen, who knows? Maybe you'll be able to access them on other devices as well. So all of this combined, I really don't understand why there's so many people who genuinely think and believe that Microsoft's just suddenly going to make some kind of crazy comeback. Even if they announce amazing games, which I'm hoping they do, that doesn't necessarily ensure that they're just going to suddenly sell, millions of consoles left and right. Will it help? Of course it will. Of course it will, but we have to understand that Microsoft has effectively made it so that nobody needs an Xbox One to play their games, nor do they want people to feel like they need an Xbox One to play their games. And while there's a lot of people who think this is a good thing, to me, again, I care about the console. I like the console. I don't want to see the console go away because the console to me represents ownership. It represents the need for these companies to develop huge, big games. And that's why I support it. That's how I grew up playing games, and I don't want to see that pushed to the back or pushed to the side as if it's just something that's just, it's there if you want it. No, I want it to be treated as you want to play our games, here you go. Here's an awesome piece of hardware. You need to buy this hardware, and then you have access to our games. It's not necessarily about cutting other people off to the games, but there's a lot surrounding it that goes much deeper than just people being attached to plastic boxes. And I know that there's some people who just don't want to understand that. But just to end this video, to talk about the trickle effect once again, basically what's going to happen is the people who were there day one, the people who were there within the first month or so buying the next generation consoles, you're going to have this trickle effect where it's going to trickle down to their friends, and because they bought a PS5, because you can only access certain games through the PS5, because it's $400, which is just $100 more than the $300 base console. You're going to have the trickle effect where it goes down, and people who are friends with these individuals are going to buy PS5s, and then the friends of their friends are going to buy PS5s, because it's all about being connected. It's about playing with your friends. It's about going where your friends go. And for a lot of people, it will be the opposite. It will be people who buy Xboxes for whatever reason, and then it's a trickle-down effect for their friends as well. But something tells me that Microsoft is going to have a much harder time convincing people to buy next-gen Xboxes without amazing games. Now, if they can bring out amazing games, I think they'll have a much easier time. But still, because of the position they put themselves in, where they want to be a service and they want Xbox to be more of a brand and they want to have Xbox out there on every device, they have, we just have to face it, they have made it a lot harder for themselves to sell Xbox consoles. Now, do they care if they sell a lot of Xbox consoles? Probably not. At this point, no. They've made it very clear what their plan is, what their ambition is. Do I care if they sell a lot of Xbox consoles? I do, because once again, I have to reiterate, I want to see the console thrive. I want to see the console do well. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to see people locked out of games. I just don't want to see the console take a back seat and be treated like, it's just something that a small group of people care about, because that's just not the truth at all. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I turned out a little bit longer than I wanted to. I apologize for the rant in the beginning, but hopefully you ended up enjoying the video and you guys understand where I'm coming from. I'm not making this video to hate on Xbox. I'm just giving my honest opinion now that I've experienced some of Sony's games. I now know why people are flocking towards PlayStation and not really paying that much attention to Xbox. So hopefully Xbox can bring the games at the very least. And if they can, we're going to have to see how next gen plays out. But at this point, I'm going to ask you your thoughts, to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about all this. Do you honestly think Xbox will stand a much better chance, since they will have multiple SKUs and possibly the cheapest entry point into next gen? Or do you think it's not really going to matter as much as some people are making it sound? I'm going to be very interested to see what you guys have to say. Be sure to leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Really helps it out. Lets me know you guys are enjoying the content. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and share the video out as well, because it all helps. But until next time, guys, take care.